Welcome to assignment 8.1, and we're now looking at process cost instead of job cost, process cost. And that looks at a product that is similar, i.e. A process such as making water or making mineral water, cola, anything that's dealing with a product that you can't distinguish one unit from another unit. Grain would be process cost. Making cookie batter would be a process cost. A little bit different than job cost, where you have a specific unique product you're making and you can identify each one of them. So let's start with assignment 8.1 and exercise 1. And this is, we're right at bottled water here. We are looking to find out what the conversion costs are. Now, when you look at process costs, you'll have direct materials, you'll have direct labor, and then you'll have manufacturing overhead. Conversion costs are the wages, or direct labor, and the overhead. So this tells us that the wages are $21,950 and the manufacturing overhead is $2,505. So if you add those two together, you come up with the $47,000. Then they ask, what is the cost per liter? What are we looking at? Hold on. What is the completed processed of 190 liters? What is the filtration cost per liter? So how much did this whole process cost them? So we're looking at that $190,000, and we're looking at how much cost. So you have $150,000 plus the $47,000, and you divide that by 190. So those two costs together equal $197,000. Yes, and divide that by 190,000, and you should come up with the cost per liter. So you're putting everything together and then breaking it back down into a unit, because the units really aren't distinguishable from one to the other. And now 2, we're going to refer to this information up here, and we're going to figure out equivalent units, because it would be very nice if processes, when they were done, everything that was started was finished, and that's how it was. But that isn't the way it works, because you usually have some in process in between. So right now we're looking at information that says they were completed. So they had 125,000 completed in February, okay? And there were 65,000 remaining, and they were 80% complete. So this is 65,000. That was the ending work in process, but, and obviously, direct materials, there can't be any 80%. So those were 100% complete. But of that, the conversion costs were only 80% complete. So you would multiply 65,000 times 80% and come up with 52,000 equivalent units in process. So now we have a little bit different. We've got 190 direct material units, and you have 177,000 conversion costs, and those are your equivalent units, and that's how you would calculate that. There's always a percentage involved, and it had no beginning inventory, so we didn't have to worry about that. And now they want us to compute the total equivalent units of direct material and cost. And that's what we did here and here. I guess I got ahead of myself. So here's number 3. The problem for number 3, or the question for number 3, is very similar to what we did up here. We are going to look at, it had 52,000 units to account for October. Of the 52,000 units, 26,000 were completed and transferred out. So that would go there, correct? And they had 26,000 direct material-wise involved in it. This would be transferred out. Conversion costs were 100%, but we're coming to the end work in process, and that has to have, they were only 25%. So you'll multiply 26,000 times 25% and come up with 6,500. So your direct material equivalent units is 52,000, and the conversion costs were 32,500. It's pretty straightforward. So now we're going to refer to the data in 3, and we're going to look at what the costs were per equivalent unit. So to do that, we would, did they give us? Yes, here's our units right here. I lost my cursor. There it is. So they're telling us that there were $44,000 in direct materials involved, and in conversion costs there were $18,000. So we would just divide that by the equivalent units found up here. So now you would have 44,000 divided by 52,000, and 18,000 divided by 32,500. And then that should come out and equal these two numbers here. So you kind of get an idea of how this works. Then refer to exercises 3 and 4 and use best cost per equivalent unit for direct materials and conversion cost. You can calculate that you calculated here in 4. Use that information here. Calculate the cost of the 26,000 units completed and transferred out, and the 26,000 units 25%. So what is their cost? So how would you figure that? Well, if they were totally complete, okay, it would be 85 plus 56 times 26,000. You would come down here then, and you would multiply the 26,000 times the direct materials, but here you would use the 6,500. So you can see how once you break it down as you do up here, then you can actually figure out the costs. And then you should be able to come up with a total cost for the work in process. So that was number 5. And I think I'm going to end this because I don't want you sitting here for 20 minutes because we have 3 more to do. And we'll end this and start up with 6. And hopefully you'll be able to wrap up the first 5 now.